Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss Show. And in today's episode, the reason why it's titled I Trust No One is because recently, and I feel like, there's going to be a particular group or person that will hear this episode and, they're looking for it. They overall want answers on why I said the things I said and did the things I did. But the reason why I'm doing this episode is because recently, so it was just a robot, and well, actually, it wasn't him. It was another person, that's friends with him that wanted to patch things up between the both of us. So my thing is like, hey, I'm all for that. I'm all for things being patched up and being chilled and not having to go back and forth, and then it gets to a point in time where we both leaving this world and we both left on bad blood. I'm all for change and positivity and being cool with people. Now at the end of the day, me and just a robot, look, we ain't gotta be friends, we ain't gotta be brothers, we ain't gotta be cousins, nothing. If he's he apologizes for what he did, and then I'm like, all right, so be it. I'm like, so be it. But that's the thing, what I don't like how things was, taking place was that they were trying to make it seem like that I'm the one that's that started it all. And I'm like, fam, what are you guys? And they're trying, so I'll be going in details on everything possible, and there's a whole a bunch of tweets between the both of us just recently, and you guys can very well go see it for yourself. So in case anybody hears this episode and they're trying to say I'm twisting words and all that stuff, I'm not twisting nothing. This is just based off of my interaction that I recently had. But so anyways, so there's a person, but that I also had problems with him. He's also a YouTuber. His name is I Bully Bullies, and here's the thing. So he reached out to me, and I thought we were already cool because I remember he reached out to me before, and he was saying how he wanted to patch things up and he wanted to be cool. And I'm like, all right, cool, and it wasn't no private conversation. Excuse me, it wasn't no private conversation or none of that. He reached out to me and he wanted to be cool. So I'm like, all right, chill. So from that point, I can't remember exactly when that happened, but I remember from that point, I never talked bad on him. I never say anything ill feelings towards him. If I did say anything, it was just, telling a story, but I made sure of it. That I said, me and this person, we cool now, but at that time and place, yeah, we had issues, we had problems. So hold on for a second. I need to take my hoodie off because it's getting a little bit warm. So, but anyways, so maybe, what is it, a couple of days ago, or was it yesterday? I think it might have been, it might have been, I don't know. But at some point in time, by the time this episode comes out, it's going to be long after that. So more things might have happened. But I'm just overall, I'm just telling this story. I'm not trying to start nothing. I'm not trying to, lead this into anybody going. I'm like, hey, this is just, in case because I have my reasons for not trusting these guys. And I'm like, usually when stuff like this goes down, I always end up getting a video made on me at some point in time. So that's why I'm like, hey, look, I'm not doing this to attack nobody. I'm not doing this to start up no beef or no dramas. I'm like, hey, I'm just, in case something comes out, I said what I needed to say, all right? So, anyways, but he reached out to me. He wanted to patch things up again. I kind of found it confusing because I'm like, I thought we already did. And so he went, he had this whole Twitter thread where he was, he apologized and all that other extra stuff. I'm like, and so my thing is this, based off of the first time he did it and the second time he did it, and every other time when I got into it with people, they've always did things publicly. So that's why I'm just kind of finding it confused. How this situation went about. I'm like, of course a person, a red flag is going to be raised in the mix of all of this. But anyway, so he did his whole Twitter thread where he was talking about, why, he apologized and all that other stuff. I'm like, oh, bro, it's all love. It's all chill. It's behind us. I'm just going based off of the last interaction we had. I'm like, bro, you did this already. It's chill. It's cool. We moved on. We bigger and better people now. So, but I think he's like redeeming himself. Like cause I know I've had my moments and like, cause especially when I was a kid, like, I was bad as a kid, and you get older and you just realize like that stuff that has like an effect. And I'm like, dang, like, if I could, wish I could go back and change up stuff and do things differently. But it's like the damage has been done. Best thing you can do is apologize and just make up for it throughout the time. Like that's just life. That's how most, not most, like it's like a good like 99% of like, situations where it's like if you did something in the past, you feel bad about it and you just try to fix things up. But anyways, so I Bullies wanted me and Just a Robot to have a conversation. And I'm sitting here thinking it's going to be like, like how any other conversation, I'm like, okay, it's been public all these, like, other times, like, well, all of a sudden it got to be private now. But that's what he kept telling me. He was just like, oh, it needs to be in Discord, and there needs to be in a Discord call. And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm just like, it's just weird because I'm like, all the other times we've gotten into it, it's never been private. So now all of a sudden it needs to be private. And they're all like, oh, well, you can record it. You can bring a witness. You can do all these other things. I'm like, fam, to eliminate like trying to ask people like, oh, let's do this, I'm like, okay, let's just, publicly tweet out to each other and stuff and call it a day, and just be like, all right, he apologized for what he did. I'm like, if I offended him, I apologize for what I did. We move on. Like, it don't need to be all this extra stuff where it's like conversations and all of that. Like, I really don't feel like having a conversation with him, because I'm saying, like, I'm still dealing with his fans till this day. So that's why I'm like, you should understand why I don't really want to have a conversation with him and stuff. But anyways, and I told him that. I'm like, bro, I've been dealing with these guys for like 6 years. And I'm like, you out of anybody should know. It's like you patching things up. You seeing things from a different like point of view. You should understand where I'm coming from. And even Bullies was telling me like he went through some stuff similar to mine. So I'm like, okay, then you should definitely understand where I'm coming from. Instead of like trying to, but anyways. So eventually Just a Robot, he did respond back. And he was just all like, I think he was like, yeah, if he agrees to move on, then I'll agree to move on. I'm like, all right, I'm agreeing to move on. I've been wanting to move on since the beginning of all of this. So I'm saying, like, at the end of the day, I'm like, that's all that I needed to know, and I'm like, fam, like, that's cool. But they still trying to have this conversation. And my thing is this, I'm like, you know what? And this is like, I'm just referencing this because I'm like, this is usually how it is. Now, yeah, in most in some situations, not most, in some situations, people do handle that stuff privately. But every time when, stuff have like tried to be in private, my thing is that or not even that, like, because I had to say throughout this whole situation between me and Just a Robot, it's never been private. It's never been private. So why all of a sudden it needs to be private now? Like I don't get that. I don't understand that. I'm like, why can we not tweet out each other and stuff like, okay, we squash all of it, we move on. But anyways, but then that was like one of the things. So here's the part where I'm going to probably sound insensitive. And I like take full responsibilities for sounding insensitive. But I have my reasons on why I'm sounding insensitive. But anyways, so when I originally when I asked Bullies, because he was just like, oh, he can't do that. He can't like tweet out to you or whatever. And I was just like, well, why not? Like, what's the issue? And that's what Bullies had said, was that he's dyslexic. So here's the thing, like, I've known people, like, I went to school with people that are dyslexic. And here's the thing, like, and the crazy thing about it is that these guys have social media. And, well, the one guy I remember that was dyslexic, I stopped being friends with him because me and him, we got into a debate about politics and stuff. And I think it was during that whole situation when Trump and his supporters had raided the Capitol. And I remember me and him got into an argument, but before that, like when we were like on good terms and stuff, he'd post and tweet, post on social media everywhere. He posts on everywhere, I don't know, like I'm pretty sure there might be websites that can help you with all that stuff. I don't know how it is to deal with that type of stuff, but I'm just thinking of like ways and solutions. I'm like how things can help you with that. I'm pretty sure that there's websites you could go to, videos that you can watch, programs that you can join, like to help you with that stuff. I don't know, but anyways, and I know that there was like other kids at my school that dealt with that, and it's, but I don't know, there was like some of them I wasn't friends with and so on. But Anyways, but no, like that kid, he will post on social media all the time. And so my thing is this, and this is when the insensitive TMossBoss steps out. You've posted all of these videos. You've posted all of these tweets. You've made all this posts. You seem to talk fine when I see you talking. Now, all of a sudden, when I'm just trying to ask for is like you just publicly come out and say, hey, the beef between me and TMossBoss is over. Like, we squashed it. We good. Why is it so hard to say that? And so he told me that he's dyslexic, and I was like, look, not to sound insensitive, but I'm like, fam, like, I just, he's posted literally everywhere else. And so, anyways, then I think, then at that point, just Robot chimed in. And then he was, that's when he was just like, hey, if he agrees to, squash everything, then I'll agree to it. I'm like, all right, fine, sure. And then but I believe they still was talking on this, like, talking like on Discord stuff. And I'm like, I'm not for that. I don't want to talk on Discord. It's like, we could just squash this stuff right here and now. I'm like, I don't want to do all of that. But they still trying to, like, pressure me into having this Discord conversation. And I'm like, look, the beef has been squashed. It's done and over with. Like, okay, we good. We done. And they still, like, trying to, like, add more to it and stuff. And I'm like, this is literally how every situation has ended, started. But this is how it always goes. Okay? It's like, my thing is this. I feel like I'm being cornered. I feel like I'm being pressured into doing something that I don't want to do. And then it's like, I just honestly feel like that's what's going to happen, is that some video is going to come out and they're like, oh, we tried to squash things with TMossBoss, but he, him being his old self, he didn't want to listen. He didn't want to do this. He didn't want to do. And I'm recording this episode on the 16th of January. So maybe a video might come out. Maybe a video won't come out. But I'm just saying, just in case, or if any tweets, posts, whatever, I'm pretty sure that there is somebody out there, watching and hearing. But at the end of the day, I'm like, if the only people that's going to be watching and hearing is people from his fan base, and they still going to try to figure out a way to argue with me and so on and try to make it seem like that I'm wrong in this whole situation. But I'm sitting here thinking in my head, like, look, at the start of this all, back in 2016, I made a video defending YouTubers that I liked. What was wrong with that? Like, honestly, maybe I should have that phone conversation with him, because I'm like, okay, I got a question. Because, no, that's what Just a Robot, he did say he had a couple of questions. I'm like, all right, what's the questions? And then he was just like, I want to discuss this privately. I'm like, no, you can ask me here. I'm like, it don't need to be private. Everything else done, been public. Why all of a sudden it got to be private now? And then he said, like, some other extra stuff. I mean, like, you guys very well, if you want to, y'all can go look up the tweets and stuff. But, yeah, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, fam, it's always been, like, public. Why all of a sudden it needs to be private? So that's why I'm not trusting the situation. Because I'm like, nah, my thing is this, and this is just, talking on, like, the past year of dealing with his fans. Because, yeah, like I said, I'm still to this day dealing with his fans. I've had quite a few of his fans pretend to, they're like random people, like they pretend to make it seem like that they don't really know of the situation. And I had it where it was one guy, it was like him and a few other people had joined my stream, and they were all like, they only was doing it just so they could get a video out of me, and just was all like, oh, well, TMossBoss said this, it's his typical behavior, blah blah, like same old stuff, like, it's just, they just like, I guess, like, updating people on stuff that they already know about me and things. And so, anyways, there was that. And then there was another guy. He did the same thing. And then there was the last guy I was telling y'all about, where he was just joining my stream, just saying some, like racist and out-of-pocket stuff. And I'm like, and all of these guys, like, came from that fan base. And so I'm like, that's why I'm like, look, every time when this stuff is like, like, it's like, well, I wouldn't necessarily say my Twitch streams are private, but it just seems like a lot of times, like, it's just been a conversation between me and the individual. I'm like, it's always been something negative. It's always been like a negative outcome out of the whole situation. So I'm like, look, if y'all agree to just squash it all and move on, I am fine with that. But I'm not trying to lead this into something. And that's honestly what I'm going to say. I'm like, look, if y'all agree to just squash it and move on, that's all that needs to be said and done. There don't need to be no phone conversations, no Discord conversations, none of that. If y'all could just squash it, leave it alone, I am fine with that. I don't care about the extra stuff. I don't care about no phone conversations, none of that extra stuff. All right? I'm like, at the end of the day, if people are going to be your fans, people are going to be your fans. I'm not trying to bring nothing away from you or kill your pride or whatever it is that you think I'm trying to do. At the end of the day, I'm just trying to move on. You know, and like, just let this be like a chapter I just finally end off. Because I'm saying, it's like I feel like I'm writing a book. And I wrote down like all these chapters, but this is the one chapter I keep going back to and add more, even though I didn't started like 15 other chapters and stuff. I'm like, I gotta continue on writing on the 6th chapter and things. I'm like, bruh, like, this needs to just end. I'm like, fam, my thing is like, this extra stuff, this like the conversation that we had prior didn't even need to happen. My thing is this, I Bully Bullies, he reached out to the both of us. It could have just been squashed right then and there instead of it needing to be a phone conversation. It could have been squashed right then and there saying, do both of you guys agree on squashing the beef and leaving it alone? Yes. I'm like, all right, we good. I'm like, we, virtually shake hands, we move on. Look, my thing is this. If he wants to keep his videos up, fine, keep his videos up. But I'm saying, at the end of the day, I just need a confirmation that the beef is squashed. No extra stuff. No extra conversations. Just yes or no. Is the beef squashed? Because I'm not trying to get into no debates. No, because now they were still saying some extra stuff. And then the fan had chimed in and he started saying some extra stuff. I'm like, look, I've seen how this went down. And I'm not going to be falling for this crap no more. I'm like, look, I'm moving on. So I'm like, if it's got to require all this extra stuff just to, squash some beef. And I'm like, my thing is this. And, to talk on a past situation. And me and this guy, we're friends now. But there's this YouTuber. Well, he doesn't go by JTV anymore. He goes TURJ. And he used to do these Dead by Daylight videos, but I guess like Dead by Daylight, there's like a lot of things like going on with that game right now. It's like the community got like, it's either like hackers or like a toxic community, and the devs ain't trying to do nothing about it. But anyways, but yeah, shout out to my friend TURJ. But no, me and him beefed at one point in time. I think it was like back in like 2017 or either 2018. I remember me and him had got into it. He made a video about me. I made a video about him. And then we kind of just, was having some arguments here and there. Then from there, it was done and over with. So then at a random point in time, he reached out to me and was all like, hey, I don't know. It was either he apologized and then we just agreed to squashing the beef, or he was just like, hey, bro, let's just, squash the beef, start all over. Boom, I'm good with that. It doesn't even need to require an apology. I'm like, bro, just reach out to me and say, hey, let's squash the beef. That's all that it needs to take. But I'm like, if you got questions, and I'm like, bro, just ask me the questions. I'm saying, like, none of this stuff got to be private. And I don't even think he did ask me any of the questions. Or I think that's what he said. He didn't want to ask me because he was all like, I'm going to twist his words around. I'm like, fam, if you just ask me the question and I give you an answer, what words is there to twist? Like, hold on for a second. Let me, like, find the tweets again. Because I was like, bro, it's just, this so confusing to people. It's like, you want the beef to be squashed, but yet you still just like, like you want this. But anyways, he was like, so I think, hold on, let me like find like a tweet that I said. And so, all right, so I think, I'm going to start where, all right, so he asked me the questions. I was just like, what were the questions? Bullies was like, we could talk about that in private. I said, why? Then Bullies was like, why not? Look, I understand you're paranoid, which I told him, I'm like, I'm paranoid on this situation because I don't trust you guys. So anyways, he was like, but realistically, you can only come out of this looking good, Tyler. And I'm like, fam, who said I was looking bad out of this? So you guys are the ones that saying that I look bad. My friends, everybody else that's seen this whole situation, they've never looked at me as a bad guy. So that's what I'm saying. Like, when you guys are saying stuff like that, where it's like you're making it seem like that I'm the one that's in the wrong, I'm like, fam, I've been trying to move on since 2016. There's nothing that, like, so I'm like, I'm not even hearing that. And that's when it's just like, like, that's when I overall had started, like, losing hope and was just like, hey, it looked like this beef is never going to end. This is just going to probably be one of the many attempts. I'm like, until I either see a video, my thing is this, and I'm just going to say this once and one, like, and only and stuff. unless I see a tweet from Just a Robot or a video from Just a Robot saying the beef between me and TMossBoss is over. No extra stuff, no side comments, none of that extras. If he could just come out and say that, then I'm like, okay, we can then have a conversation somewhere. We can do some, but I'm like, other than that, I'm like, fam, if that ain't happening, I'm like, I don't care for it. Okay. So I'm like, I'm saying, but anyways, then he said that, and then he was like, there's no reason to not have a civil conversation. I'm like, bro, so that's what I said. I was like, we can talk here. It's always been public, so why not have it be public now? Then he's just like, we could do it on here on Twitter in a space conversation. And I'm like, and that's just another way of having a private. I'm like, no, you guys are tweeting me now instead of wasting this time, like trying to go and make it private. I'm like, just tweet out what you need to tweet out. And then I think I was just like, if everything chilled between us, then I was just like, then cool. But like I said, I don't trust things being private. So if you want to ask me questions, ask me now. But if not, then we could go our separate ways. And then he was just like, or we can make the call live so it is in private. The problem is you love to twist things over text. Not once have you ever answered one of my questions without twisting it first. Fam, just ask me the question. My thing is this. You're asking me a question that's going to most likely stir up some more drama. So I'm saying, whatever it is, if it's that bad of a question, then keep it to yourself. I think it's just like, at the end of the day, it's like there shouldn't be no questions being asked. I'm saying, like, every time throughout my whole life, all right? Every time throughout my whole life. And I remember it was me and one of my closest friends. This is like a real life, IRL interaction that I had with somebody. But I remember me and one of my close friends. I remember back in elementary, we got into a fight. I remember me and him, we did get into a fight. And we didn't get in trouble for it because it was like, we was on school campus and stuff. And so, but there was no teachers that saw it. So we kind of just was slapping and pushing each other and punching and stuff. And then after that, when we overall, when all that stuff was done and said and over with, we squashed the beef. And I remember 6th grade, I remember because I think, I don't know, I can't remember if we initially squashed the beef. Well, I just remember we were wasn't on bad terms, but we wasn't hanging. We would only hang out because there was a mutual friend that we would hang out with. And then I remember in 6th grade, that was I had to say that's when we really started becoming close friends. I saw him in 6th grade. And we sat next to each other. We was in the assembly because it was how when they do those when you're brand new to the school, they gotta give you guys a warm welcome or whatever. Saw him in the assembly, sat next to him. We were sitting there cracking jokes, laughing, talking about a bunch of other dumb random stuff. And then I remember all throughout middle school, me and this dude, we playing tag, having fun. High school, we still hanging out, eating lunch together and stuff. And then even afterwards, I'm still till this day, consider him one of my closest friends of all time. All right. Not once that he was just oh, let's talk about this privately. Let's have a conversation. No, my thing is this. All right. However a situation started, that's how it needed to end. I'm this situation started publicly. That's how it needs to end. But I just don't. Why does it need to be private? For what reason? I'm my thing is this. I'm I don't know what the reason is, but I'm look. All right, I'm not hearing it. It's either the beef is squashed, done and over with. We all agree on that. Or it's my thing is this. Or it's either way. But I'm moving on regardless. I'm not going to sit here every single day, make videos on you guys. And I'm and that's a reason why I'm paranoid. Because I'm bruh. I'm sitting here moving on, making all these, different videos, not having to make not one video on these guys. And then out the blue, they just randomly hit me up. And I'm that's how every situation has always started. Where it's I've been randomly hit up and then led into something. And I'm you know what? No, I'm done with this. I am moving on. I'm I am not going to start my year off beefing with you guys on some dumb stuff. So I'm saying if you guys want to continue having some hostility towards me, I'm not going to say that you're hating. I'm not going to say that you're mad, but there's obviously some hostility towards me. There's obviously something that's there. All right. If you guys still want to hold on to that, fine. So be it. I don't care. All right. That's on you. I'm still going to focus on myself, okay? I didn't create 38 other YouTube channels, start up a Twitch channel, a podcast, TikTok, and all this other extra stuff just so I can still focus on hate. No, I'm done with that. All right. And so, but yeah, he said that. And then I Bully Bullies agreed and was all like, like, see, this right here is why we should make it a call. Nothing can be misconstructed in the call. I'm like, nothing can be misconstructed if it's public. Well, my thing is this. It doesn't even make any sense where, like, you don't want to have it. Because my thing is this. Like, that doesn't even... All right, hold on for a second. Let me sit down and think about this. So, if something was misconstructed privately, like, who are your witnesses? You know, for like, because my thing is this. You guys can say, like, oh, TMossBoss says some out-of-pocket stuff. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I never said nothing out of, out of pocket. I never did anything out of pocket. And then most likely it would have ended up being a video at some point in time. But then there's that, or publicly, where the whole world can see it. Okay, our fans, your fans, OnlyFans, everybody is seeing it. And then there's nothing that can be misconstructed. I'm saying, like, that just doesn't even make any sense. Like, you want because my thing is this. They're making it seem like I'm committing a crime. And if it's like, oh, if it's public, then it's like for, it's people are going to see, like, that is just so confusing, bruh. And so, anyways, I was just like, I just had stopped responding because I was just like, it's a lost hope. I'm like, I'm not going to keep going back and forth with these guys. So at the end of the day, look, I was like, if the beef is squashed, it's squashed. If it's not, then it's not. I'm like, but I'm not going to continue focusing on you guys. I'm saying, like, I'm moved on. I'm like, I don't even care no more. The beef can be squashed. Continue on. Y'all can make as many videos as you want on me. I am moving on. I am focusing on myself. Like, that is it. So, but anyways, yeah. I'm like, if beef is, they still want it to be a thing. I'm like, that's on y'all. So, but anyways, I will talk to y'all later. Thank you to everybody that's tuned into today's episode. Stay tuned for the next. Like, subscribe, viewing this on YouTube. Follow, subscribe, viewing this on the podcast streaming service. Make sure you also subscribe to all my 39 YouTube channels. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, and Instagram at TMossBoss. And make sure you also follow my Facebook page at TMossBoss fan page. And if you're purchasing any tickets from SeatGeek, make sure you use my promo code TMossBoss. It will knock $20 off of your first purchase. And make sure you use my supporter creator code for Epic Games TMossBoss. And in the meantime, I will talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching and or listening, and peace.